Hey guys, today Luke Routh is with us and he's going to be giving us a fishing report for both Stockton Lake and Pomme De Terre. Many of you might know Luke Routh from his social media channels. He is very active on all of these channels. Do yourself a favor and give him a follow if you're into bass fishing, tournament fishing, and he's going to be joining us every other week now with the latest reports from Stockton and Pomme De Terre. So, without further ado, please welcome Luke Routh.
Hey everyone, my name's Luke Routh, and thank you for having me on the Tackle HD podcast. I'm going to be giving y'all some fishing reports for Stockton and Pomme De Terre Lake. Today, we're going to be talking about Pomme De Terre. Lake level is about 839.24, so it says it's about normal pool. I feel like it's a little low. I was on the lake this weekend. It looks a little low to me, so take that with a grain of salt however you want to. There's a couple patterns working. You got the out by the main lake, the deep brush piles, the points. That stuff's working out there. Then you get say, Nemo down or Lightfoot down, up the river bite. The shallow fish seem to be biting pretty good. So you got a couple options if you're going to go to Pomme De Terre Lake. I'll talk to you about how to target both of those fish, so let's get into this. First and foremost bait I would have tied on is a Tackle HD Worldwide Buzzer. This thing will catch fish lake-wide from the main lake to up the river. The best luck I've had with it's up the river, but I have caught some fish in the main lake. Throwing it shallow, around the shallow brush piles, shallow rocks, shallow stumps, docks, behind boat docks. This thing's catching a lot of fish right now. It's a great way to pick up some keeper fish of a morning when you get out there. You got to have a Tackle HD buzzbait tied on. It's actually, I lost a big fish on it this weekend. I didn't get to the boat. My fault, not the buzzbait's fault. So, their big ones are biting it. You just got to put it around them. Number two is a Black Label balsa square bill crankbait. I've been throwing lots of different variations of balsa crankbaits, some shad patterns, some bluegill patterns. They really seem to like the balsa in the summertime. You can throw it up, run it into the stumps, the docks, the trees, the laydowns. You can run into all that stuff. It comes through the cover amazing. They come out and they keep the fish hooked up. Great hooks on these things. Don't overcomplicate it, guys. Just throw it in the thickest cover, wind it through. You're going to catch some fish on the balsa crankbaits. This bites better up the river. This doesn't work in the main lake as well. I'd say anywhere from, Cooper's Cove down, and on the Lindley side, probably from Nemo, Marina down. That's where I'll be throwing these balsa square bills, looking for some of those shallow summertime bass. Now, the next two baits I'm going to talk about, they're more deep fishing baits, so let's get into those. All right, if you're going to be fishing deep in the summertime, you always got to have a Texas rig tied on. Actually, if you're going to be fishing anywhere in the summertime, Texas rig is a great bait. I like a Texas rig creature bait. This is a Motion Fishing Hogzilla creature bait. Also, I always have one rigged up with a big worm on it. If you guys are fishing brush piles, it's great to throw in the brush piles, a 1-2 punch between the creature bait and the worm. Also, if I go up shallow and I see a tree that I just got to flip into, I already got the creature bait tied on. Just flip that thing in the tree. We're talking about colors, guys. Keep your colors real simple. Plum worms, green pumpkin with a little flake in it of any sort, or straight green pumpkin creature baits. They're going to get you the most bites in the summertime, maybe even a watermelon candy if you're feeling wild every now and again. But I keep it pretty simple. It's always a plum worm, and it's usually a variation of green pumpkin on the creature bait. They're going to catch you some bass all summer long, deep or shallow. If I was going to target brush piles, it doesn't seem like they're in the really deep brush piles. I would target more the 8 to 15 foot brush piles. You find those, you're usually going to find some fish. Look for the ones that don't have a ton of crappie on them. Few crappies fine, loads of crappie, not so good. Look for something that's got a few crappie on them. That's usually where some bass are hanging out. And last but not least, if I can't go brush pile fishing without a Motion Fishing gill candy flipping jig, I can swim this thing around docks, skip docks with it, throw it into deep brush piles, drag points. Very versatile bait. You always got to have a jig tied on in the summertime. And the gill candy is my favorite. It far and for sure outfishes most other jigs in the summertime due to its natural color. I can throw that thing absolutely anywhere. Right now, I'd say the best jig bite's got to be in the brush piles. So, if you're going out to Pomme De Terre Lake, there's 4 baits you can have tied on, and you're going to be able to find success somewhere on the lake with one of these 4 baits. So, until next time, I hope y'all get out. I hope y'all catch some big bass, and we'll see y'all next time. Let's get into it. Lake level is at 866.68, about a quarter of a foot low, so normal. They've been generating power every day, so you guys are looking to catch some deeper fish. The power generation in the afternoon usually sets up the deep fish a little bit better. Or you can run up the river and we can fish really shallow. You got that option on Stockton right now. I'm going to give you some baits for both, just in case you can do whatever you want to go do. Water temperature ranges from 84, 85 to 91, 92. I've seen it all. You get kind of an overcast day like today, it stays a little lower. You get a real bright, sunny, hot day, it gets a little higher. So if I'm gonna fish anywhere on the lake, I'm gonna start my day out with a topwater. You know, probably a whopper plopper or Chopo 110 or 130. I'm gonna throw it up on the points or where I can find some bait fish. I'm gonna go look for shad, and I'm gonna throw this around the shad. There are some shallow bank fish already, so those are always fun to catch. Whopper plopper is a great way to catch those fish, or Chopo. This here is a Chopo. They both work. Or run a square bill through them. You know, that Black Label Boss, a square bill. That's a great way to get some of those shallow fish to really react. Also, if I run up the river, this is probably going to be my main primary way I'm going to fish. I'm going to run this thing into shallow stumps, laydowns, trees, standing timber. I'm going to run this puppy into many things as possible because it creates a reaction strike in the summertime. You can really burn this balsa crankbait. It deflects off cover amazingly. You don't get it hung up very often, so you can throw it that deep and get fish to react that are up there real shallow. It's actually one of my favorite ways to ever fish in the summertime. So check out some balsa crankbaits if you've never thrown one. They're a great way to pick up some shallow water fish. Third thing I have tied on if I'm going river run, I'm going to have on a Motion Fishing Hogzilla creature bait. I'm going to dab that thing around all the shallow stumps, laydowns I can find. When I catch a few fish on the top water in the balsa, I'm going to go back through those areas. Really going to pick it apart with the creature bait. I'm going to flip really slow. I'm going to take my time. I'm going to fish around where the fish are because the fish are not everywhere right now in Stockton Lake. The lake's actually fishing really tough. So if you get around some fish, don't ever leave fish to find fish. Stop that creature bait around and stay on some fish for a longer amount of time by slowing down. Now, let's talk about the other bite. Let's say you want to run out towards the main lake. You want to fish some brush piles. You want to fish some points. I'd have a spook tied on. Fish come up schooling randomly this time of year. You always got to have a spook tied on. That's the best way to catch the schoolers most of the time. A lot of times I like to work it really fast through them so they don't get a good look at it. Slash it back and forth, work it really fast through them. It's a great way to pick up some extra fish that come up school in the summertime. Now we're going to get into brush pile fishing. The brush piles, I haven't found a solid pattern for the brush piles, but they are in the brush piles at Stockton Lake. I can't believe I can't find them, but I cannot find them. I've fished a wide range of brush piles. It just seems like one fish here, one fish there. I can't ever find a group of them to get a group of them going. But if I'm going to fish the brush piles, I'm going to stay pretty true to summertime staples. I'm going to have a big worm on a Texas rig, 10-inch plum worm. Can't go wrong with a 10-inch plum worm. I'm going to have a creature bait on, say leave the Motion Fishing Hogzilla tied on, or a brush hog, or a Tackle HD brush beater, whatever your favorite creature bait. About a 3/8 to a ½ ounce tungsten weight, pegged. I'm going to throw it in the brush piles. I'm going to try to catch some of those brush pile eaters. It looked to me like there's a lot of cedar piles out there. The hardwood piles seem to be a little bit better, but finding those hardwood piles is not as easy as finding cedar piles. Never had great luck out of cedar piles catching bass in the summertime. So go around, if you guys can differentiate on your live scope or on your side imaging what a hardwood pile looks like. It won't have as many limbs. It'll be a little less full. Look for those piles. It's a great way to catch some summer bass. The cedar piles seem to be more for crappie, so I kind of leave those for the crappie fishermen. And when we're talking about summertime fishing, I'm going to have a Motion Fishing gill candy jig tied on. I can throw this thing into piles. I can drag points. This is my favorite color, gill candy. Really killer color in the summertime. I'm going to throw it in those brush piles. I'm just a bait rotation, guys. Maybe even have a straight worm tied on. You're just going to rotate those baits every pile until you figure out what you can get a bite on. Then I'm going to start locking that one in my hand a little bit more. Some days they want the jig, some days they want the worm, some days they want the creature bait. You really got to fish around, see what the fish are wanting, and then adjust your day according to that. So if I was headed to the Stockton right now, that's how I'd keep it. I'd keep the 1-2 punch. I'd have the river run rods rigged up. I'd have the brush pile rods rigged up. Go out, keep an open mind. Try to have a fun day fishing the Stockton right now. It is not easy, so remember, if you're out there not catching much, it's not easy on everyone, not just you. So till next month's report, I hope I can talk to you about the fish are biting a little bit better. But until then, we'll see y'all later, and good luck out there.